Well, hello there. Good evening. Trinawnawal Macarjagalair, our foot in the Crunya, Ismisha Antone. Welcome, Fulcha Jaco G on Lowerland Shut. The Mythical Ireland Library is open for our weekly live stream, Live Irish Myths, which began life on the 12th of March 2020. Here we are at episode number 281. This evening we are returning to the wonderful Barbara G. Walker's, the Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. We're talking tonight about a subject that is one of the favourite subjects of a certain cohort of live stream viewers, and that is dogs. We are on canines tonight, specifically the role or mentions of dogs in mythology around the world. So, hope you're all comfortable and in good form. Hope the weather is suiting you all. For the northern hemispheres, I hope that summer is treating you well. It's not treating us all that well because it's cool, and it's been cool for several days here in good old Era. I hope that some of you are experiencing something a little bit warmer and not too warm, but I see from the comments that maybe that's not the case. I will, of course, get round to chatting with you shortly. And please, if you are watching us, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube, please do join in the conversation. I do try or attempt to try and attempt are the same thing, Anthony. There's no need to say try or attempt or try and attempt. I do attempt to get round to reading the comments and to showing them on the screen. So, yeah, say hello, ask questions, interact with each other, have fun, enjoy the journey as we explore the ancient mythologies of the world. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode, which was Cailleach, Hag, and Swan. Yeah, maybe next week, being the closest to midsummer, we might do an episode about midsummer. Anyway, strap yourselves in, as we say here in Ireland. Strap yourselves. Yous know yourselves, right? In the colloquial parlance of the area. First to comment tonight is none other than Elaine Dent Lingenfelter, who says, "Can you guess where I am today? It's 31 Celsius. Let me see. Maximum temperature today in Ireland was 17 degrees, and with wind chill factor included, it was probably more like 14. Right now at Dublin Airport, the temperature is indeed 14 Celsius. So no, you're definitely not in Ireland, Elaine. And I'm guessing, if I had to guess, that you are back home in sunny, hot, dry old Texas. Would I be right or not? Derek Hollingsworth says, "Hi, Acharja." Conas atá to Derek Sláinte. Anne Scott Doherty, who's in the house, is saying, "Hope you're all well." That's to everyone. And welcome to any newcomers, well, of course. And if you're joining us for the first time, please do indeed say hello. And specifically, if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the notification icon so that you get notified of future live streams and video uploads. Elaine says, "Sadly, you're right." I knew you weren't in Ireland, you see. Lily Shambles is saying, "Good evening from my kitchen." Well, hello from all of us around the world to your kitchen. I hope all are keeping well and the Brits are keeping warm on these chilly nights. Yeah, the Brits and the Irish. Had to close all the windows in the house. A friend of mine was telling me yesterday he had the heating on, and sure, I was saying, "Sure, look, I'm not surprised." And that's the way it goes. Do you know that there was a year in the past 5 years, can't remember exactly which year it was, it wasn't that long ago, when the temperature on Midwinter's Day, on the 21st of December, was 1 degree warmer than the temperature had been on Midsummer's Day on the 21st of June. I kid you not. 13 Celsius on Midwinter's Day, 12 Celsius on Midsummer's Day. Okay, 12 Celsius is a bit of an outlier, but, you know, it does happen. Derek Hollingsworth says, "Vime it Charanari Lajani." I was at the Leah Foyle last week, always inspiring the Understone, the stone that would scream under the rightful king, brought to Ireland by the Tuatha De Danann. Brilliant stuff. Hope you enjoyed it, Derek. Hope the weather was nice. I mean, I've been up there with a few tours lately, and even on a sunny day, it's quite breezy, and it can be quite cool too. Rex Fortenberry is saying, "Greetings, fellow humans." Are there humans? Anyway, Rex is saying, "Howdy from a boiling 99 Fahrenheit Louisiana today." Eek. And that is 37.2222 degrees Celsius. Hot. Yeah. hotter than it's ever been in my lifetime in Ireland. Brit Griffin had to fire up the wood stove. So here we go. It's just like, oh, some people are cold and some people are too hot. Can we not just get a middle ground? I've said this so many times. Rex and Elaine, can you shave 5 degrees Celsius off your temperatures and chuck them over the Atlantic to us? Everybody's happy. Maybe even 10. Brit had to fire up the wood stove because it's chilly in northern Ontario. Good day to listen to some more excellent stories, though. Brilliant stuff, Brit. And I hope the fire is keeping you warm and cozy. Helen Hurst Chader says, hi, Anthony and friends. Hello there, Helen. Good afternoon to you. Hope you're in good form. Anne McCallum is joining us. And she says, hello, Anton and all the mighty too. I hope everyone's in good form. Many thanks, Anthony, for all the wonderful information we've received via posts, email, and Patreon. It was a cloudy, windy, chilly 12 Celsius this morning, but now it's partly sunny and 17 Celsius. That sounds exactly like the day we've had. As always, looking forward to another episode of Live Irish Myths. Well, Anne McCallum reminds me that I rely entirely upon your support. As you may know, I gave up my career to pursue Mythical Ireland as a vocation. And Patreon is one of the ways you can help. And that address is scrolling down along the bottom of the screen. Yep. Become a patron and get access to extra stuff. A couple of posts in the past few days that aren't published anywhere else. And yeah, brilliant. The other thing is sign up for the mailing list, please. There's lots of... the plan is to have twice weekly emails with subjects of varying interest and varying content. Yeah, it's free. So just sign up for the email newsletter and get information. Social media, especially Facebook, is unreliable as a means of keeping touch with the 140-something thousand people who follow Mythical Ireland on Facebook, because Facebook just doesn't seem to want to distribute all the posts that I make to all the followers. So one way to guarantee getting information is to sign up to the mailing list, and another great way to guarantee getting stuff that no one else is getting most of the time is to become a patron. So maybe you might consider that. Tom King on Gowa is in the house. Hope all are good, fettle. Having a wee dram. It is delightful. Well, Tom, come here. Now listen, you can't be doing that without sharing it round. I hope you have enough glasses for, well, there's 25 people watching right now. So 25 dram glasses there, please. Thank you very much. And I'll have a glass myself, if you don't mind. Certainly keep you warm on an evening like this. Hope the fire is lit and the forge is burning brightly. Nora Gaffney O'Connor is saying, Gia Eve Golair, Iantach a bheith an seo I bhur mashc. Conas atá tú, Nora, an bhfuil tú ag snáb sa farraga how do we say for the past week? On Seachtain Seochacha, is it? On Wilshe on Roushe 4. On Roushe on a 4. I'm doing my best. Irish technical thinker who is Marcus says, greetings, apologies for my absence lately. I wasn't particularly well and experienced absolutely crippling panic attacks mixed with awful anxiety. Mental health is no joke. Been doing better. Very sorry to hear that, Marcus, and you're absolutely right. I'm glad to hear you mentioning it and being open about it. One of the things that I suppose is very important around mental health is to remove the stigma of it. As somebody who has experienced panic attacks, anxiety and depression in the past, I admire you for mentioning it. Thank you for letting us know. There's absolutely no problem with people not turning up. I mean, I don't keep I know I sometimes play the sort of the strict schoolmaster, but truth be told, when people are missing, we don't keep note and we don't expect them to explain their absence. Life is life and people are busy. But all the best to you. I say thank you for sharing and being open about it. And if there's anything we can do to help, just let us know. Fair play to you, Marcus. Thank you. A lot of conversation going on, which is brilliant. I love on our weather apps. It has 20 degrees, but it feels like 8. Yes, exactly, Nora. That's every day in Ireland. John Inman is saying, just checking in from Eureka, California. Foggy, high fog. Helping a nun that I know move house and such. Fair enough, John. Foggy and yeah, certain parts of California, it doesn't get too warm. John Main does be telling us all about that. But I think I was mentioning, was I recently, I had a guest on one of my tours from Monterey. Is that the name of the place? I keep thinking of manta ray, as in the giant fish that swims in the ocean. Am I getting this pronunciation? I did say this last week, didn't I? I'm pretty sure I did. Monterey, is it Monterey? Is that how you say it? It's along the coast, south of San Francisco, I think. Probably got that wrong too, knowing me. Yeah, feckin' get everything wrong, Anthony. Feck's sake. I'm looking for it here on the map, and of course I can't find it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just not sure if I'm correct on the pronunciation. Monterey, Monterey. It's 15 Celsius there at the moment. And the lady was telling me it never gets warmer than 70 Celsius, even 70 Fahrenheit. That's 70 Celsius, we'd all be burnt to a crisp. We'd be thinking Balor has opened all his 7 eyelids. Yeah, so she doesn't get above 70 F. But if you move inland to somewhere like Fresno, it's 110. Anyway, John, hope the fog breaks and the sun shines through at some point. Teresa Collins is in the house. Hi, Anthony on the tour. How's everyone's even good form on this side? Teresa, hope we can say likewise about yourself. Hope you're all settled in and you have the old dram or the cup of tea handy and the blanket over the legs if that's what you need. If you're in Ireland, of course, you may well need that. Tuesday Thompson is wishing us a happy Mythology Monday. Thank you very much for that. And yes, indeed, let's do our best to have a happy Monday. Caroline Dash is in the house. Hello, Caroline. You're very welcome to the live stream. Hope you are in good form. Barbara Murphy says, Facebook is giving me fits, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, the YouTubers, as I always say, don't generally have issues with lagging and video that breaks up or anything like that. Belaine, do I pronounce that like a V? Belaine Casado Lopez is saying good evening from Spain. Hello, indeed. You're very welcome to the live stream. Don't think we've seen you before. If we have, apologies. And if we haven't, well, Fáilte August Taris Jock. A big welcome to you and come in, make yourself comfortable. Hope you enjoy the live stream. And I hope the temperature is a bit warmer in Spain than it is in Ireland, but nothing too warm. Passes glass to Tom, says Caroline. Yeah, Tom, come on. Share it out. Wayne Bird is in the house. He's saying hello to everyone. Hope everything's going well. Still in the rainy season here in the UK. Yeah, we had a lot of rain yesterday, but it was the first day's rain we had in a long time. I think a boat builder is needed. They do say there's one in France by the Arc de Triomphe. The Arc. Congrats on your 25th anniversary. Lovely words on Patreon. Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much for that, Wayne. Wayne, of course, is a patron, I believe, at the Bronze Age level. Folks, if you're looking for both to support the mission of Mythical Ireland in everything that I do, please do become a patron, but also you get something in return for that. John Main is in the house. Speaking of Californians and cloud and fog and cold temperatures, good to know you're doing better. That's John Main wishing Marcus all the best, which is lovely to see. Among several others, I'm sure. Valentina Bernardi is saying, good evening from sunny, finally, Glastonbury, yay! But I see a huge number of photographs. Kevin, what's his name, Pearson, and other photographers and other pages from Glastonbury that I follow or are suggested to me on Facebook. And the sun's always shining in them. Beautiful sunrises shining through the arch of the Tor. Is it St. Michael's Tor? On Glastonbury Tor, and yeah, it always looks sunny there, but I guess the photographers are just there at the right moment, aren't they? No larks singing in Glendalough, but plenty of hailstones, says Brendan Byrne. Oh dear. Well, so long as the larks are safe, and it's a lovely thing to hear. There's one always at Lough Crew, and if you're there from the spring through the summer into the autumn, he because I think that usually the most vocal of the birds are the males. He's in full song, high up in the air, you know. Exactly, Monterey, as you said it, and I presume that's what John Main means as well. Galactic says, "Hey, John, I'm from Humboldt, sunny at my place." There you go. You need to get up to Galactic's place there, John. It's sunny up there. This afternoon, says Adina Sparks, slipping on a little late. Well, we haven't started yet, so you're in good time. Making use of our cooler weather, 75 Fahrenheit, to work on the chicken coop. Make it Mythical Ireland Mondays. Good reason to sit for a while. Well, I mean, yeah, whatever excuse you need. You know, that's 20. That's pretty much 24 Celsius. You're saying that's slightly cooler. For us, that's warm. That's mad, isn't it? Caroline Dash said, "I had a lovely clam chowder from Monterey Bay." Wow, sounds nice. Sounds lovely. Barb Jordan says, "Happy Monday, everyone." Hello, Barb. Welcome to Live Irish Myths. Hope you are in good form and ready for a story or two. Valentina said, "Do you know or have any reference for the bees folklore in Ireland and in Irish mythology? I know the Brehon Law mentions them extensively. Outside of the Brehon Laws, not really. And it's not something that's come up on my radar too often. Something that I would probably have to do more research on, to be honest. But I know the monks kept bees, and I know that there was laws around beekeeping and the protection of bees. Beyond that, I don't know a whole lot, to be honest, you know. I'd have to dig deeper, as they say. Alva Kelly says, "Trononoa, it's good to be here. I will be painting a small painting while I'm listening." Brilliant stuff. Excellent, Alva. What a wonderful way to pass the time. Do a painting, listen to Live Irish Myths, maybe get a few dad jokes thrown in. Fantastic. Yeah. And Velaine says, "You spelled it right. Brilliant stuff. Excellent." Lucas Sicardi says, "Cheers from warm Italy. Buona serata, Lucas. Very delighted to see you. Ciao." My friend Donna Jean Porter is saying hi from North Texas. What's the temperature like there, Donna Jean? I gather it's fairly hot in Texas most of the time, especially in the summer. Yeah, Barbara's saying, make sure to have a professional check your roof after a hailstorm. My neighborhood is getting more than 60 new roofs paid for by insurance thanks to a hailstorm last summer. Wow. I told you we get just glopules. We had that conversation last week, like petit pois. You know, you get like golf ball sized, or at least marble sized hailstones sometimes. It's been a bit like Ireland, says Valentina. 4 seasons in one day, but it seems to be suck more often than not in autumn or winter. Is that a misspelling or a autocorrect? The inventor of autocorrect has died. May he roast in piss. Deborah Gilbert says, "Good afternoon from here in Connecticut. Sunny for now, but don't blink." Yeah, that's exactly how it is in Ireland. It's like, "Hey, it's sunny. Don't make any plans." Yeah. Barbara Murphy, "No need on this side of the ocean as our hailstones are only baby ones." Yes, indeed. Anyway, before I get going, I picked up another copy of this, which is a wonderful book. I need books. You know how puny my collection of books is and how I always need more books. And this, for several decades, was a standard book about the history of Ireland, published by RTE, Radio Telefís Éireann, originally in 1967, revised and expanded in 1984, reprinted. So first published in 1967, 15th impression 1980. So it had been reprinted 14 times by 1980. Then an enlarged and revised edition was published in 1984, reprinted 1987, 89, 1990, 1991, 1992, 1993. And it is, of course, the course of Irish history, edited by T.W. Moody and F.X. Martin, published by Mercier Press, whose logo, by the way, is a Triskel. It's a triple spiral. Yeah, look, scholarship has moved on a bit since this was published, but still a very, very, very good insight into Irish history. A lovely book which was contributed to by the late, great Professor Frank Mitchell, who I have mentioned on at least a couple of live streams lately, not least because I came into the possession of some of his academic papers from his own personal collection. and I have since added some books from his own personal library. This is a very good one, although again dated, but a lot of the information of this does not change with time. First published in 1987 by the Blackstaff Press. Lovely hardback book with lots of colour photographs, and that is Reading. It's actually the Book of the Irish Countryside. Sorry, Reading the Irish Countryside is the one he published with Michael Ryan. The Book of the Irish Countryside. And so, if you're interested in geology, and I have to say that my knowledge of geology is only occupies the top 1 inch of sediment in the bedrock of Ireland. If you get the analogy, it's very shallow, shall we say, very sparse, not very comprehensive. I was looking. Oh, where is it? I should have marked it. I can't find it now. I'm flicking through the book and I still can't find it. There was a great map, a colorized map, showing the various types of rock throughout the Irish landscape. The sort of thing that you would have seen in, we Irish, educated in the Irish school system, certainly would have seen it, or something similar in our geography books. Oh, come on. It is eluding me at the key moment when I'm live. If I was to try and find it any other day of the week, it would just flop open on the right page. But right now, with the camera rolling and 40 people watching, do you think I can find it? The answer is a big fat yes. I found it. Yes, and there it is. Yeah, very interesting. These are the mineral deposits. Sorry, this isn't the bedrock, it's the mineral deposits. And so you can see that even for a small island country like Ireland, there is a huge variance in mineral content in our rock. Fascinating stuff. Yeah, so that's Reading the Irish Countryside. And of course, the one that I was talking about last week, that I finally made an investment in. It's an expensive book, but one that I've been meaning to get my hands on. Louth, History and Society, interdisciplinary essays on the history of an Irish county, with contributions from some major names in Irish archaeology and history and mythology. So, for instance, Gabriel Cooney, The Prehistory of County Louth, that's Professor Gabriel Cooney of UCD. Foreword by the archaeologist Paul Gosling. The Early Saints of County Louth by Anthony Cronin. I found that fascinating. The Archaeology of Medieval Louth from 400 to 1100 AD by Donald Murphy. The Vikings in County Louth, which I'm really looking forward to reading. That's by Eamon P. Kelly. And lots of other stuff. Castle Roach, the Anglo-Norman settlements, colonial society in Louth, Mellifont Abbey. And that's a chapter on the architecture and history of Mellifont by Roger Stolley. Or is it Stolley? Stolley, I think is how it's pronounced, and lots more. It is a heavy tome and a thick tome. It runs to 860 pages, but a work of a vast and fascinating scholarship covering an enormous breadth of Irish history and archaeology. I've read some of the chapters already, looking forward to reading more, and I suspect that will, as in that book, will give rise to several episodes of Live Irish Myths, possibly in the not too distant future. And I think I had mentioned the Quaternary History, which was one of the books from the Frank Mitchell Library. I think I had mentioned that already. There's lots more, but look, we'll keep it for now. And in any case, it's 8:25, and I need to start getting around to the subject we promised to talk about tonight. Yeah, and that's exactly right. Well, that's part of it, at least, Nora. The fact that in around 420 million years ago, long before humans existed, two continents collided and formed the island of Ireland. Imagine the northern part of Ireland and the southern part were once on continents that were separated by a huge ocean. Bonnie Aguilar is saying hello from Milwaukee in Wisconsin. Good afternoon to you, Bonnie. Thanks for joining us. Hope you are well and in good form, and I hope the sun is shining where you are. Mark Gordon is in Iowa, where they have big hailstones. Hopefully not right now, Mark, but yeah, we have the baby ones. So if it comes to swapping places, I think we'll stick with our sort of mellow temperatures and our small hailstones. Thanks for the water, Tom. Ishkabaha. Yes, indeed. Deborah Gilbert. Yes, sorry, I had read that comment. I did indeed. Just a bit of light reading then, says Garrett. No, it's heavy reading, to be honest. It is definitely heavy reading. But yes, love it. Great comeback, says Nora. I do listen to you, Anthony, says Nora. You're probably the only woman in this room who listens to me. Let's talk about dogs. And Desiree is not here. Can't believe it. We'll have to change the subject. Desiree is not here to hear about. Well, maybe she is, but I haven't seen her. If you're here, make yourself known, Desiree Riley. Otherwise, we have to proceed without you, and you'll have to watch the replay. Rex, yes, woof. So, man walks into the reception in the doctor's clinic and says to the receptionist, "I'm here to see the doctor. I have a 1:30 appointment." And the receptionist says, "Which doctor?" And he says, No, the regular one. No one knows. Apologies. Not good, Anthony. That's a 1 out of 5 there. 1 star. No one knows when man first domesticated the dog. By the way, I'm also very sorry to report that my origami business has folded. Evidence suggests that man didn't do it at all. Woman did it. In myth, dogs accompanied only the goddess, guarding the gates of her afterworld, helping her to receive the dead. Sorry, I'm taking a margin note. Which is related to the fact that Ethna, which is another name for the goddess Bowen, went into Newgrange in the form of a lapdog. And that, one moment. Lapdog. Sirius the Dog Star. I'm just trying to find out what the source is of that. Is it Tuckmark Emera, The Wooing of Emer? Sorry, it's from the story of the tragedy of the sons of Turin, which we did read. Ethlu came into the brew in disguise in the form of a lapdog. So there you go. There's a goddess going into Newgrange, the gates of the afterworld, helping her to receive the dead. Wow. And of course, Bowen had her lapdog Dabilla with her when the Boyne River was formed. Brandon Byrne has to depart because he thinks things are going to descend into chaos because I told a couple of rip-roaring, side-splitting, hilarious jokes. Like other carrion eaters, e.g. vultures, dogs, wolves, and jackals were associated with funerary customs. Dogs carried the dead to their mother. In Iran, even after it became usual to bury the dead, it was thought necessary to let dogs tear the corpse before burial, a survival of the older practice. The Vendidad said the soul en route to heaven would meet the goddess with her dogs. Quote, "Then comes the beautiful, well-shapen, strong and graceful maid, with the dogs at her sides, one who can discern, who has many children, happy and of high understanding. She makes the soul of the righteous go up above." Unquote. Semitic tradition transformed the goddess into an angel of death, whose approach can be seen only by dogs, which is why dogs howl at the moon to announce a death. Devonshire folk still say there's a dog in the moon who acts as a messenger of death. Fascinating stuff. Wow. I knew this would be interesting. The Irish say two dogs guard the gate of death, which used to lead to Emania, the moonland, or if that's lenited, Ewania. Mourners were enjoined not to wail too loudly, lest they disturb the dogs and cause them to attack the soul at the gate. Wow. This and many other similar images can be traced to the ancient Vedic concept of the moon as death's gate, ruled by the goddess and guarded by her two dogs. This oriental symbol is still seen in an almost pure form on tarot trump number 18, the card of the moon. The conventional picture is of two dogs howling at the full moon in front of a gate, or two pylons with a road leading between them to a distant horizon. The scene was usually interpreted as having to do with death. Sometimes the card was called Hecate after the classic death goddess whose totemic companions were dogs. Her gates were guarded by the three-headed hound Cerberus, spirit of the pit. In Celtic myth, the gatekeeper was a dog named Dormarth. I thought it said doormat. Dormarth, Dormaorth, which means death door. The same dog might be seen on the famous Gundistrup cauldron, guarding the Yonic gate through which heroes pass on their way to death and transfiguration. Fascinating stuff. According to the Vedic tradition, the bitch goddess Sarama was the mistress of the death dogs and a divine huntress like Artemis, Diana, Anath, and other Western versions of the Lunar Maiden. Ancient Babylon knew her as Gula, Gula, the fate goddess, whose symbol was a dog. She was assimilated to Ishtar, whose sacred king Tammuz was torn to pieces by dogs. Under his Greek names of Adonis or Actaeon, he was torn to pieces by the dogs of Artemis. As the savior Orpheus, he was incarnated in Neanthus of Lesbos and torn to pieces in the Orphic temple by dogs. When Athena assumed the guise of the death goddess, her priestesses filled her temple with canine howlings, in brackets Houloi, huloi, like wolves or dogs singing to the moon. Sometimes a whole pack of dogs, or priestesses, hunted souls in the realm of death, like the Celtic hounds of Anwin, which Christians soon converted. Yes, you've guessed it, into the hounds of hell. Desiree Riley! I just got the most delightful call from Tom King telling me I need to tune in. This is an episode I didn't want to miss. So happy he called. It's about doggos, doggies. Yes, indeed, Desiree. I was asking where you were because I said, look, she can't miss this, really, you know. Donna Jean says, my little mini dachshund, very beautiful dog, Freya, was sitting next to me one evening. She stood up and looked out the window and howled dutifully. Not many hours later, I was notified that my father passed. Wow. So I take it that this is not habitual activity on behalf of Freya. It was out of the ordinary. Uh, Lily Shambles saying, as much as I love dogs, I'd love to know when cats domesticated humans. Yes, indeed. Alva says, speaking of tarot, I'm painting the Ace of Cups. Wow. Brilliant. For some reason, Rex is saying, now I'm hungry. Good, I think. Maybe get yourself a sandwich. She's never done this before, says Donna Jean. Wow. Lucas says dogs are connected to the moon in Horapollo's hieroglyphica too. Ooh, interesting stuff. That might yet be mentioned. My daughter's dog is always taking her for walks. Originally, this meant the hounds of the goddess Hel, Hel, ruler of the land of death. Norse myth. Norse myth said she gave birth to lunar wolf dogs who ate the flesh of the dead and carried the souls to paradise. Their leader was Managarm, moon dog. The Prose Edda says Managarm was, quote, gorged with the flesh of the death doomed, and with red blood he reddens the dwelling of the gods, unquote. In other words, he carried the dead away in primitive, carrion eating, canine fashion. Yay! Brilliant stuff, Desiree. We're always happy to see you here. An alternative name for the Norse moondog's mother was Angerboda, Angur-Boda, the Hag of the Iron Wood, an older version of Hel, sometimes called Hel's mother. That's Hel, as I said already. Two of Angerboda's canine children. Sorry, the hyphen is not actually there. It's just because the name was broken over two lines. It's one word, Angerboda. Two of Angerboda's canine children, Jerry, is it Geri, and Freki, Freki, lived in Valhalla and ate the food offered on Odin's table, meaning the altar. This suggests that the Vedic image of the two death dogs passed into Norse mythology as a pair of canine gods, like the many holy dogs, wolves, or jackals of the ancient world in general. One of the oldest of these gods was Egyptian Anubis. I'm going to see how long this chapter is. Keep reading, Anthony. Brought from Central Asia at a very early date under the name of Up-Uat, opener of the way. He was also known as, it looks like mates, M-A-T-E-S, is it mates? Quote, he of the mother, unquote, similar to the archaic Irish word for a dog, madra. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, is there a connection there with Maher, as in mother? M-A-T-H-A-R. This old Asian god was said to be a wolf, but he soon merged with the jackal Anubis, who was called his twin. The composite was a deity, quote, whose face is like unto that of a greyhound, who feedeth on the dead, who devoureth the bodies of the dead, and swalloweth hearts, unquote. I think somebody's got an overactive imagination. In the pre-dynastic period, he governed sacrificial priests, jackal-headed men with slaughtering knives. In an old section of the underworld, Coptic Christians later identified Anubis with Gabriel, who was called a judge of the dead. As a lord of the land of death, Anubis became the god of mummification. He was often shown bending solicitously over the mummy of Osiris, applying the preservative mummia from which the word mummy descended. When the Osiris cult became astrological, much of its imagery was transposed from the underworld to the heavens, including the image of Anubis. The star of Anubis was Sothis, brackets Sirius, the eye of the dog, in Greek, Canopus. It was funny because the second brightest star in the entire sky is called Canopus, and it's in the southern hemisphere. And does it mean the sail? I'm going to make sure. I'm going to read that again because I want to make sure I'm reading it right. The star of Anubis was Sothis, brackets Sirius, the eye of the dog, in Greek, Canopus, Canopis. Sirius is the star forming the eye of Canis Major, the great dog. It is the brightest star in the sky. Egyptians believed it held the soul of Osiris, whose rebirth coincided with the rising of the Nile flood when his star rose in the east. So I'm wondering if there's a connection here with Newgrange, because Sirius shone into Newgrange in the era in which Newgrange was built. And I'm wondering, does that coincide with the rebirth of, well, we'll say Angus / Dagda, because really, Dagda, if you think about how Angus replaces him, is just being replaced by a younger version of himself because it's his own son, you know? Yeah. 3 wise men pointed the way to the newborn Saviour, the 3 stars in Orion's belt, which form a line pointing to Sirius. The holy city of Anubis on earth was also Canopus, the eye of the dog, origin of the canopic mummy jar. Anubis came to Rome as a leading character in the Osirian mysteries, or Osirian if you prefer, from Osiris. He was seen in processions, quote, condescending to walk on human feet, rearing terrifically high his dog's head and neck, that messenger between heaven and hell, displaying alternately a face black as night and golden as the day. In his left, the caduceus, in his right, waving aloft the green palm branch. Caduceus. What is that word? I don't know. A Caduceus. Some of the scholars on here will know, I know. Caduceus. Okay. It's the staff carried by Hermes in Greek mythology. And consequently by Hermes Trismegistus, or whoever he's called, in Greco-Egyptian mythology. And it's the one with the wings at the top and the 2 snakes wrapped around it. The pharmacy symbol, isn't it? Yeah, Lucas. Yeah. Seamus Marr is in the house. Well, long time no see. Hope yous are well. Ireland forever. Aaron Gabra. Seamus, Conas too. Hope you're in good form. Taking lots of notes this week. Great material, says Helen. Brilliant. I have to say, this book has been a revelation. I don't know if because we've been reading from it for several episodes now, and I'm going to have to stop for copyright reasons. But I wonder, did we ascertain whether it's available secondhand or whether it's still in print? I wonder. It's probably not still in print, but maybe if somebody can find out. I think we probably did have people saying, yeah, there's a copy on Amazon, or there's a copy on EBE Books, or there's a copy here, there, and everywhere else. Kathy May Deo has joined us. Good afternoon to you. Hope you're in good form, Kathy May. Thank you for tuning in to Live Irish Myths. His steps, is that how you pronounce it? Caduceus? Sorry. His steps were closely followed by a cow raised into an upright posture, the cow being the fruitful emblem of the universal parent, the goddess herself. Bowen, the bright cow goddess. Wow. Which one of the happy train carried with majestic steps supported on his shoulders. By another was borne the coffin containing the sacred things and closely concealing the deep secrets of the holy religion. Unquote. Did I miss Joe Butler? Did I? Is Auntie Joe in the house? Oh, I did. I was stuck on hold with my insurance company. Insurance companies. Good to see you, Joe. Not only Anubis, but many other dog entities were worshipped throughout the Roman Empire. An early Roman Kista from Palestrina Praeneste. Oh my God, the pronunciations. Such a challenge. Showed the moon virgin Minerva sacrificing a naked Mars over a cauldron attended by her 3-headed death dog, clearly the same as Persephone's or Hecate's Cerberus. The dog as the keeper of Mother's Gate was known everywhere in antiquity, probably because wild dogs were first domesticated as guardians of the home threshold. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Doorways being generally sacred to women who owned the houses. In Assyria, images of dogs were buried under thresholds of houses, suggesting similar burials of deceased watchdogs in former times. The dog's spirits continued to haunt intruders, which may account for the ancient custom of lifting a new bride over a threshold, so the guardian spirits beneath would not think her an intruder but would accept her as a resident. Fascinating stuff. The Cynic sage Diogenes made himself a watchdog at the gate of the great mother's temple, where he lived in a large earthen pot, representing the say it right, Anthony, representing the terrestrial womb. Of course, don't forget Setanta became the Hound of Cullen to guard the kingdom of Ulster. Now, I'm just going to take a look at the footnote there, which may not tell me much because it's just generally the footnotes are just a reference to a book. You have to go to the bibliography then to find the book, and of course, this is 1983. So what's that? Footnote number 26, the terrestrial womb. 26. Just says Campbell. Oh, it's from Joseph Campbell, Occidental Mythology, page 244. Yes, I have a copy of the same. Let me see if the page numbers still match up. What did I say? 244, wasn't it? Yeah, Diogenes is mentioned on this page, all right. Aristophanes, sorry, Antisthenes was the founder of the Cynic, Cynic, or is it Kynic, dog-like school, and his most celebrated disciple Diogenes suggests comparison with a certain type of Hindu ascetic dwelling significantly in a large discarded earthen pot outside the temple of the Great Mother. To illustrate the doggishness of his back to nature philosophy, he would shamelessly relieve himself whenever nature moved. Dogs do that, definitely. Alexander the Great is supposed to have visited him as the next most celebrated man in the world, and when the young monarch asked if there were any boon the beggar desired, is it cynic or kynic? I don't know how to pronounce that. Looks like cynic. You are between me and the sun. Please move aside. Thus, with considerably more thoroughness than his later counterpart, should I say, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Diogenes went all the way in his return to what he took to be a man's state in nature. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, I don't intend to tarry. I have to move on because there's lots still to read. I know where the Joseph Campbell and C.G. Young shelf is. I think I have all the 4 volumes in that Masks of God series. Pretty sure I do. Where was I? Cynics, Kynics. I don't know how to pronounce it. Somebody could help me with that. That'd be great. Were goddesses dog-like ones. Yeah, and it's spelt in Greek with a K, Kynikos. Kynics, I would be inclined to think. Their sect, founded in the 4th century BC, professed to foretell the end of the world from the circumpolar constellation Ursa Minor, which they called the dog. Of course, that's the one we know as the Little Bear, or in America, the Little Dipper. The North Pole star was the dog's tail, Kunos Ora, the Kynosure. When it moved from its place at the still point of the turning world, according to the Cynics, the end of the present universe was at hand. Interesting. The Kynic idea of the dog, I read that as God, as the dog, affixed to the North Pole, is still found in European folklore. Slavs spoke of the 3 Zoria, or the triple fate goddesses, keeping, quote, a dog which is tied by an iron chain to the constellation of the Little Bear. When the chain breaks, it will be the end of the world. Egyptians similarly believed the goddess kept, quote, powers of darkness, unquote, fettered by a heavenly chain until the last days of the world. Northern people said the chain held the cosmic doomsday wolf Fenrir, who would be released by the Norns, triple fate goddess, to devour the heavenly father at the end of the world. This would signal the destruction of all the gods. Norsemen therefore called Doomsday the Day of the Wolf. Fascinating stuff. The great goddess was herself a wolf. In the very old Roman cult, she was she-wolf Lupa, whose original consort was Lupus, the wolf. He was also Feronius or Dispater, a subterranean wolf god inherited from the Etruscans, as was the she-wolf who suckled Rome's founders, Romulus and Remus. The famous Lupercalian statue of the she-wolf was cast in bronze during the 5th century BC. The two babies under her belly were not part of the original work, but were added centuries later to suit the Roman version of the legend. The Lupercalia may have been a corruption of Lupa-Kali, the Oriental great goddess, was also a she-wolf. Under her yoni name of Kunti, Cunti, I will say nothing, she gave birth to a divine son, quote, in the cave of the wolf, unquote, like the Lupercal grotto. Her child was placed in a basket of rushes and set afloat on the Ganges. Why does this sound familiar, folks? Tell me why. As Romulus and Remus were set afloat on the Tiber, Moses was set afloat on the Nile, and Sargon was set afloat on the Euphrates. Sorry, I'm taking a margin note. The wolf bitch Lupa was identified with the midwife goddess Acca Larentia, who took Romulus and Remus from their basket, just as Acca took Sargon and Pharaoh's daughter, another version of Acca, took Moses. Acca, or Acco, so that's A-K-K-A, A-C-C-A, or A-C-C-O, was the same as Hecate, who turned into a wolf bitch in Homeric legend. Lupa, or Acca, disappeared into the sacred spring of the Lupercal grotto, where her spirit was worshipped every year at the Lupercalian festival. And Mavanwe says, highly recommend visiting if you ever get the chance. Desiree comments, wow, so many parallels across so many cultures. It's amazing. Absolutely. And I'm seeing parallels here with Irish mythology. Sheila Gunn is in the house. Very late. Apologies. Glad to be here. No Brone Zone, Sheila. No worries at all. You're very welcome. I'll just take a note that you're late. In the roll book, no, never mind. Tom King has whiskey. He's passing it round. Make sure you get a dram. Nora agrees. It's blowing my tiny mind. Your mind's not that small, Nora, unless it's been shrunk by all that seawater, you know. Who Godarn is in the house and says, hello to you. Yeah. Alexander the Great died on June the 10th, says John Main. Wow. So it's his death day. Amadeus says this is his favourite episode yet. We're so glad to hear that, Desiree. Perhaps he will bark with delight and run in circles around the room, as dogs do. There are many lupine foster mothers in Middle Eastern myths. Tukuke umlaut H, legendary founder of the Turkish nation, was preserved in infancy by a holy she-wolf whom he subsequently married. That is, she was the goddess of the land in totemic form. A famous Turkic A famous Turkish leader was Ataturk, the grey wolf. Zoroaster was raised by a she-wolf. Osiris the Great, born of Mandane, moon mother, pardon me, was nursed by a woman whose Greek name was Kaino, her Median name Spako, meaning bitch. Siegfried, too, was a wolf's foster child. His oldest name was Wolf Dietrich. Wow, amazing stuff. The oldest religion of the Canary Islands was a dog or wolf cult, traces of which are still seen in many ancient canine statues. Canary birds and canary wine took their name from the islands, which were really named for Canis, the dog. Speaking of which, I don't know if I ever told you this one. Did you know that there are no canaries in the Canary Islands? And it's exactly the same in the Virgin Islands. There's no canaries there either. Pardon me. Do I have a lozenge? I do not. The throat's a bit dry. I will press on. Don't worry, it's fine. Tom King did not give me whiskey, which would help enormously. Thanks, Tom. He did not rush across the land for a 40-minute drive from the forge to the headquarters of Mythical Ireland to offer me a dram. That's because he knows I have a press full of the stuff here. The same name, canary birds and canary wine took their name from the islands, which were really named for Canis the dog. So there you go. Nothing to do with canaries, folks. That's why there are no canaries in the Canary Islands. Gonna have to remember that one, says Rex. Vanway clearly didn't enjoy that one. Sorry. Island joke hilarious. Gotta remember that one, says Alexi. I didn't say hello to you already, Alexi, I don't think. Welcome. Oh my god, he gets so excited when Anthony says his name. Now he's got the zoomies. Yes. Coda needs to make an appearance. Yeah. Hello, Amadeus. Hi, Amadeus. Here, boy. Do you want it? Amadeus, are you listening to the story about dogs? Make sure she gives you food and treats and a walk and a trip to the beach and a frisbee and a ball. he's going. I can just picture him now, looking at the screen, going, the side head, dog kind of going, what's he saying? Some of those words sound familiar. Did he say treats? The same name once applied to the hereditary caste of Jewish priests. Cohen, K-O-H-E-N, or Cohen, C-O-H-E-N. I'm reading that as Leonard Cohen. From Greek, kuon, K-U-O-N, dog. Because dogs were associated with the old matriarchy, the epithet dog became an insult to Semitic patriarchs. Islam forbids both women and dogs to approach a shrine. Yet Muslims still incongruously believe the gall of a black dog can serve as a holy amulet to purge an entire household of evil influences. Early Christians made an effort to assimilate the Gallo-Roman wolf god under the name of Saint Lupus, or Saint Loup, L-O-U-P, Holy Wolf. He was made a legendary bishop of Troyes, T-R-O-Y-E-S. That's the plural of Troy. Never mind. Credited with miraculously turning back the invading Huns from his province, but this story was fiction masquerading as history. Wow, we haven't seen that anywhere in the Irish story at all. Barb Jordan is telling us that Main Squeeze Louise says Anubis was definitely a greyhound. Yeah, I know. Has that look about her. The church was not wholly comfortable with any of the manifestations of Lupus, who was really a prototype of the werewolf. Saxons used to worship him in the first month of the sacred year, called Wolf Monath, literally Wolf Month. But Christian authorities changed the name of this month to After Yule, or Yesu Monath. Its runic sign was a dot in a circle, the same as the festival of the circumcision of Christ, New Year's Day. And the dot in a circle, according to Jung, is a symbol of the temenos, the declaration of a sacred space. Diana the Huntress and her dogs had an extensive cult in England. But some of her legends merged with those of Arthur, Lancelot, and other British heroes. One of the tales told how Lancelot, like Actaeon, trespassed in the goddess's greenwood and fell asleep at her secret spring. And this is a quote. There was a lady dwelt in that forest, and she was a great huntress, And daily she used to hunt, and ever she bare her bow with her, and no man went never with her, but always women, and they were shooters, and could well kill a deer, both at the stalk and at the trest. And they daily bare bows and arrows, horns and wood knives, and many good dogs they had. Unquote. You better let him outside before I mention his name again and the word treats in the same sentence. Don't mention walk. Yeah. I hope I didn't cause any annoyance there. I just couldn't resist. Shocking, I know, I'm very bold. Give me a slap on the wrist, Anthony. When the lady caught Lancelot in the forbidden place, she didn't set her dogs on him as her forerunners had done. She only shot him in the buttock, that he might not sit on no saddle. Thus he was disgraced, since a warrior was supposed to show wounds only in the front. Because dogs were natural companions of the housewife as well as the huntress, they were often cited as witches' familiars. A black dog seemed even more suspect than a black cat. The dog was frequently believed to be the animal form of a demon lover, probably because women were inclined to fondle their dogs. Many women were hanged in England on that count alone. One witch was officially condemned for having, quote, carnal copulation with the devil in the likeness of a man, but he removed from her in the likeness of a black dog, unquote. Gypsies told a story based on such witch trials. There was a beautiful maiden whose lover was her dog. One once each year he transformed himself into a man and lay with her. In due time she gave birth to a little white puppy. Then she jumped into the river and drowned. A popular method of disposing of witches was to drown them in the so-called swimming ordeal. Interesting, because Bowen was drowned in the myth. Was she really drowned at all, folks? Or did the later writers make that happen? The demon lover assumed his human shape, retrieved the maiden's corpse, and brought her back to life by placing the puppy child at her breast to suck. Afterward, as in all fairy tales, they married and lived happily ever after. The black dog was the witch's helper in gathering materials for charms. According to an exceptionally durable superstition, the miraculous mandrake root could not be pulled out of the ground except by a black dog. This curiously formed root, called the phallus of the field, or the devil's genitals, was supposed to emit a scream if uprooted by the unwary, and all who heard the sound would go insane or die. A fella passed an interview for a job, and the manager of the place where he was applying for the job said, "Congratulations, you've got the job. Do you have any questions?" And the man said, "Yeah, what's the salary?" And the manager said, "The starting salary is €38,000 a year, but it goes up to 45,000 after 6 months." "That's grand," says the applicant. "I'll start in 6 months, so." Desir is apparently jealous that he listens to me better than her. It's the what's it called? It's when it's an see this TikTok, the old rusty mechanism in there is trying to connect the word. It's because it's different, you know. It'll come back to me. Haha, I like that one, says Mavanwa. Yay! It's a score of 1. Caroline Dash says, okay. Not quite sure what that was for, Caroline, because you know I'm reading the comments probably several minutes after I've said something. Gas, says Nora. Elaine Dent is laughing her head off. Brilliant. The Irish remembered the dog's connection with death and maintained that true curses could be cast with a dog's help. Among the Celts, Conche, dog, denoted a satiric bard with magic power to speak curses that would come true. Now, Concha was the grandfather of Lu, because Lu's father was Cian or Cain, and Cian's father was Cain. Well, Cian was called Cain MacConcha, Cain the son of Concha. So I wonder, is that the same? I'll take a margin note. It doesn't have the fodder in it here, so it would be Concha. Whereas I think Lu's grandfather was Concha. I'll have to check that later. Remind me to do that. Dogs or wolves played their ancient role of psychopomps in a number of strange stories about cathedral building, which might be traced all the way back to the Etruscan Lupus or Dispater, the wolf-headed lord of death who carried sacrificial victims away. So a psychopomp, just in case some of you don't know what that is a spirit, like a spirit guide, an animal usually, or some a guide who takes the form of an animal or creature to guide you over to the other world or to the next life. In the very old rite of the Mundus, Mundus, trenches dug for temple foundations were filled with sacrificial blood. It was believed the building would be unstable if this blood magic were omitted, so it was done from Hindu India to Latium and Britain. Lupus appeared in sacred art as a wolf angel carrying the victim to a blessed afterlife. On an Etruscan vase, the death god Charon is assimilated to Lupus and wears a wolf skin. This notion that sacred buildings needed to be founded in blood has been evident in every tradition, including the Judeo-Christian one. The Bible says, when Heel founded the city of Jericho, quote, he laid the foundation thereof in the blood of Abiram, his firstborn, and set up the gates thereof in his youngest son Segub, according to the word of the Lord. Unquote. And that's from 1 Kings, chapter 16, verse 34. British legend said Vortigern's temple walls kept falling down because the blood sacrifice for their foundation had been forgotten. Such pagan customs continued in the Middle Ages. Many skeletons have been found buried in walls, pillars, and cornerstones of churches and abbeys, placed there as supportive sacrifices. Interestingly, bones are found in post holes in the Neolithic, aren't they? Certainly animal bones, I know that much, but some human bones too, if I'm not mistaken. A deaf mute was buried under the cornerstone of a monas. I was going to say monas, and it was like, where's the rest of the word? Monastery near Gottingen. A parish church at Holsworthy, North Devon. Is that Holsworthy or Holsworthy? North Devon was found in 1845 to have a skeleton in its southwest wall. Illegitimate children were frequently buried in building foundations. Terrible stuff altogether. One Saint Benezet, or Little Bennet, was walled up in the foundation of a bridge at Avignon in 1184. 5 centuries later, his crypt was opened, and Saint Benezet proved his saintly status by remaining fresh and undecayed. Well, I mean, if I was expecting a miracle, I'd expect him to sit up and say, "Ha, how are you lads?" So his ecclesiastical press agents claimed, at any rate, quote, it was really a common thing among Christians to sacrifice children, maids, or grown-up people by burying them alive under the foundations of castles, etc., to ensure their stability. When St. Columba founded a monastery on the island of Iona, he called for a volunteer to be buried alive in its foundation. Well, of course he did. Such a saintly man. A monk named Oran earned a later canonization by offering himself. And that's from Joyce 1285, which I take it to be Joyce's place names. Or is it the one we've been reading, the social customs? Sorry, the social history. Anyway, kind of too late to follow that down that rabbit hole now, because I want to get this finished, because I'm sure you've all got other things to do. For some reason, perhaps a promise of Christ-like resurrection, he was dug up again after 3 days. Still alive, he began to preach blasphemous doctrines. There was no God, no devil, no heaven or hell. St. Columba therefore had him killed and reburied. The saintly man that he was. Wow. It was not uncommon for monks, infected with Gnostic, agnostic, or atheistic beliefs to meet with such a fate. Wow. Europe's totemic dog or wolf clans seem to have become involved in these sacrificial customs, just as they were involved in the ancient cult of the Mundus. For instance, Cologne Cathedral was said to have been designed by the devil, and its bells were cast under the devil's direction at the foundry of a mysterious smith named Wolf. I kid you not. After casting a certain discordant bell, supposed to be rung only in time of disaster, Wolf was killed by a fall from the bell tower. The architect who collaborated with the devil was also killed, crushed by a great stone that already had his name engraved on it. Well, of course it did. Facebook keeps freezing Anthony's face in different expressions. Mid Wales internet. I can just imagine what those expressions are like. And one wonder, says Sally Siggins. I didn't know you were here, Sally. A very good evening to you. Hope all is well. And one wonders where Dracula came from. You can only imagine. Sally is asking if there are any myths about how to improve the weather. Well, they are myths, Sally. In Ireland, the weather just doesn't improve. It's just the clothing, you know. People say that. There's no such thing as bad weather in Ireland. It's just inappropriate clothing. Chanson du Geste told a somewhat different version. The builders of Cologne Cathedral killed a hero named Renaud, in brackets, Fox, and buried him in the foundation. A church was erected to Renaud's memory in 811 AD. A chapel stood on the spot in Cologne where he was slain. Some said Renaud was the same as the trickster hero demigod Reynard the Fox. Others said he was a great warrior, one of Charlemagne's paladins. The devil and the wolf were also linked with Charlemagne's tomb at Aix-la-Chapelle. The devil contributed money to build the cathedral. In return, he demanded the life of the first creature to enter its doors. At the dedication ceremony, people thrust a wolf into the door. The devil took the wolf's life. Then it was safe for people to enter. Like Cologne, Aix-la-Chapelle had a discordant bell for emergencies. The founder of this bell was crushed to death by the clapper, so the bell was baptized with his blood. And he went to his death like the clappers. Oh, never mind. Similar stories were told of Strasbourg Cathedral, supposedly designed by a wise witch named Sabine, once a title of Lupa, the Sabine she-wolf. The dedication of the cathedral was marked by the sacrifice of twin brothers, like Romulus and Remus, one of whom killed the other by pushing him under a cornerstone as it was dropped into place. Does this all sound like the same variants of the same myth? Yes, indeed it does. Of the twins nursed by Sabine she-wolf, Romulus killed Remus while digging a furrow for the foundation of Rome's walls. The Bishop of Strasbourg ordered the cornerstone raised again, and the second brother was crushed under it also by his wish. He explained, quote, "My body will serve as a protection to the cathedral," unquote. Wow. And he woke up the next day with a headache. Remnants of these curious beliefs and customs survived to the present time. In World War II, the Nazi SS caused human bodies to be, quote, encased in the concrete foundations and bunkers, as though such bodies could give strength to inanimate matter, unquote. To this day, Greek peasants insist on a blood sacrifice at the building of any bridge to bathe the foundation in the lifeblood of a bird or animal to strengthen it. The notion that a dog's blood is equivalent to the blood of a human being is still found among the Berbers, who believe that a murderer is magically tainted by the blood of his victim for the rest of his life. The killer of a dog is similarly tainted. Nearly everywhere, one can still find the belief that dogs can see ghosts and other spirits, left over from the formerly universal association of canines with the world of death and the special preserve of the underground goddess. That's an interesting question, Mavanwe. I don't know is the answer, but a very good, very certainly curious and apt suggestion given what we've been reading. What was the rabbit hole I was thinking about going down? St. Columba. Yeah, let me just quickly see. Joyce 1285. Joyce 1285. Let me just see if that's Joyce's place names or if that's something else. One. Says you will find out fairly quickly. Page 285. Cahir itself is the name of more than 30 townlands, in several of which the original structures are still standing. The stone fort that gave name to Cahir in Tipperary was situated on the rocky island now occupied by the castle, which has, of course, obliterated every vestige of the previous edifice. Its full name, as used by the Four Masters and other authorities, was Cahir Donna Ieski, the circular stone fortress of the fish-abounding Dun, and this name is still used by the Irish-speaking people, from which it is obvious that the earthen Dun had originally occupied the site on which a cahir or stone fort was erected subsequently. I think it equally evident that before the erection of the cahir, its name was Duniski, the fish-abounding Dun, and indeed the Four Masters once at 1581 give it this appellation. No, okay. Retreat, Anthony. Go back to footnoting question. I am going down a rabbit hole, folks. Bear with me. 57. Joyce 1285. Now, let me look in the bibliography and just check that the Joyce, it's probably the social history. Yeah, social history of ancient Ireland. It's the one we were reading. And what's worse, we may already have read it. Yeah. I think we might already have read it recently. Let me just go to page 285. Yeah, here we go. In some of the, so this is the ironic social history of ancient Ireland, which we were reading for many episodes, and we took a break from to read the Barbara Walker book. Amazing that we have to go back to it. In some of the Irish lives of St. Columkill, there is a legend that after the settlement of the saint in Iona, one of his disciples, a Briton named Oran, offered to die so that his burial, with the usual Christian rites, might scare away the demons that infested the island. So he died and was buried, and the demons fled. According to later oral versions of this legend, Oran was sacrificed by his own consent and buried under the foundations to counteract the malign influences of evil spirits who were breaking down Columkill's churches as fast as he erected them. The tradition that persons were formerly buried alive or first killed and then buried under the foundations of newly erected buildings to ensure their stability is prevalent today all over the Hebrides. And remember, this book, I think, published, wasn't it, 1903? Is that what we said? 1903, yes. All over the Hebrides, according to Mr. Carmichael, who gives several traditional instances. Although this evidence is all legendary, yet seeing that the legend is so widely spread, it is to be feared that in some prehistoric time, the horrible rite was really practiced in Ireland as elsewhere. And we read that not too long ago. I forgot, but sure, I don't remember everything I read. I don't remember 10% of what I read, to be honest. Had a hard time getting on, says Lexi. Storms all around us today, hail too, yeah. And sometimes that stuff can cause interruption to internet service. It turns into a warren, says Brendan, presumably speaking about the rabbit hole. Yes, not quite. Hurrah, bring on the rabbit holes, says Mavanwe. Was there anything else that anyone wanted to bring up related to tonight? Any comments or questions? I had to do weird things because first I couldn't get on, says Barbara. And two, it froze and went silent every time I tried to comment and so on. Amanda June Haggerty is saying, yay, I finally made it live. Amanda June, hello to you. You're very welcome. Sláinte, fáilte, happy out. We're just finishing, but that doesn't matter because as soon as we finish, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, a video of the entire thing will be available to you, so you can rewatch it immediately. But we're very glad to say hello to you. And if you're on YouTube, of course, do remember to subscribe to the channel and ring the notification icon so that you get notified of future live streams and uploads. We stream at the same time, usually every Monday, but not always because other things happen and sometimes we postpone to the next day or so on, but usually Monday. Brilliant. Yeah, good. Sirius is known as the dog star. Yes, it is indeed, Nora. It is, to this day, the brightest star in the sky is still known as the dog star. Sirius is the dog star. Yes, that is correct. Yeah. Johnny Wilson is saying hello from Edinburgh, where it's 10 Celsius. Yeah, a little bit cooler than, although in fairness, when I read the temperature at the beginning of the episode, it may have fallen a bit. It was 14 then, it's 11 now. Yeah, so there you go. There's only a degree in it, Johnny. I hope you're keeping well. Hope life is good on your side of the little pond that divides us. Interpretation caused by devils, says John Inman. Thanks, take care, and all best wishes to you, Anthony, and family. Thank you, Lily, and all the very best, of course, to you and all of yours as well. Brendan Byrne had to reboot. Is that because of the weather in Colorado, Brendan? I'm joking. Brendan, if you're new, is based in Glendalough in County Wicklow in Ireland. I was just literally trying to crack a joke there. But like all the rest of my jokes, it'll probably go down like a lead balloon. Although I did get a laugh from Mavanwe for one of them, you know. Anyway, yeah, so as I said, don't forget, please subscribe to the email, the Mythical Ireland emails, and please do consider becoming a patron. Your support is very important. You wouldn't realize just how much. Well, maybe you would, and maybe I should say it every day, several times a day. Purcell had a song, says John. I'll sail by the dog star. It would be a good way to sail because it is the brightest of all the stars. Brendan says Glendalough has its own weather system. I know you're kind of half joking, but it's probably true because of the way it's situated in a hollow surrounded by mountains, you know. And it's not easy to get a laugh from me when it comes to Anthony's dad joke, says Mavanwe. Well, there you go. A reinforcement of the fact that it must actually have been a good one for a change. So glad Tom called me and got me to tune in for this episode. It was lovely, says Desiree. Yeah, a little bit less of the whole dog sacrificing thing. Let's be honest. You know, it's not the sort of thing that we think about when we think of our doggos. We just think of them as, manic, energetic nut jobs, you know, who like tennis balls, treats, burying things, bringing dirt in from the outside, sniffing dogs' butts, peeing on fence posts, and eating literally anything that falls off the table. There you go. It's probably the most accurate description of our dogs you'll ever find, especially Coda. Not so much Saskia. She's a little bit more reserved. It's a night you wouldn't put a dog out. It was like the knight who came to an inn during a storm, and the innkeeper was putting him up for the night, and he said, look, I need to travel to the nearest village to get a message to the king. Have you any horses? And the innkeeper said, no, I only have a dog. But he said, I wouldn't send a night out on a dog like that. Thank you very much for the episode. Thank you, Marcus. Keep well. Keep the good side out, as they say. Yeah, and keep tuning in if you need a bit of a laugh. There's a few stupid dad jokes will go around. Michael Trott is late, perhaps getting less notifications for Tuesday AM in New Zealand. Yeah, because we're just finishing, Michael. Very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us from Auckland. But unfortunately, yes, we have finished. Just winding up, as they say, or winding down. As always, thanks for sharing your time with us, Anthony. You're the best. Thanks, Elaine. You are also the best. Jolly joke, says John Inman. Did I start that? Thanks, Anthony. North County Moocher is telling us were dog bones found among the animal. He's not saying that, I am. The animal bones in Neolithic monuments. There were 3 dog skeletons found in Newgrange, which at the time of O'Kelly's excavations were assumed to be dogs who had found a way into the monument but couldn't find their way out in later times and had died there. But in fact, I think in recent years, the bones were carbon dated and they returned to prehistoric and I believe Neolithic date, which is fascinating. Susan Mullen Lacerna says, thank you. You're very welcome, Susan. Always a pleasure. The Vanway is now laughing. Brilliant. Yes, great to see that. Teresa, I enjoyed tonight's episode. Very interesting. And a few laughs too. Well, look, that's that's a gratuity. It's like at no extra cost. A few stupid dad jokes. You're very welcome, Mark. Thank you for tuning in. Always a pleasure to see you on the live stream. So I will leave it at that. And as with all of these things, when I get to the end of the stream, I say all that remains for me to say, in fact, is, oh, hang on. Yeah, Desiree says, I do quite like the idea of dogs ushering you into the afterlife. I would love to follow my dog over the Rainbow Bridge when that day comes. That's a lovely thought, isn't it? Yeah. Interesting topic today, says, sorry, that's not the one. Adina. Thank you, Anthony, for your time with us. Stay safe, everyone. You're very welcome, Adina. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for a great evening, Anthony, and all the two. I'm glad I managed to catch a good chunk of the episode despite my late arrival. We'll have to catch up on the rest later in the week. Ihawa, thank you very much indeed, Mavanway, and to Anne McCallum. Glad you enjoyed it. And the email sent earlier, since you're on the mailing list, and glad you enjoyed the Patreon post about Curbstone 11 at Nouth. You want to find out more? Become a patron, folks. Thank you very much. Joe Butler, Auntie Joe, thanks. Stay safe. Have a good one. Love it. So interesting, says Nora. You never answered my question. Will 2 on V2 egg. On Will 2 on Row 2 on V2 on. How do you say it in the past? Yes. Egg Snov. Foriga. Yeah, I got it right the first time. On Route 2, Ixnov, San Fariga or San Ariga on Shockton Shokacha. Yeah, there you go. So, Lily, just to let you know that the emails that are sent out are sent in a stagnated fashion. Like the same email is sent out to all the subscribers, but it's not sent to all of them at once. It's sent over a period of several hours. It should arrive into your main inbox. Sometimes the likes of Google Gmail gets a little bit uppity and decides that it's spam and puts it into the spam folder. So maybe check in there just in case. Otherwise, expect it later. Thank you, Tom. And yeah, I'll raise a dram to your health. Oh, Fime Gochla. Oh, Gochla. Agus an bhfuil an airige che nó fuór whippet or greyhound like, says Michael. Yeah, they're quite similar breeds, aren't they? The whippet and the greyhound. Not sure about the whippet's ability to run. Another greyhound is a bloody fast runner. Wow. Yeah. Nora is sending C symbols. Yeah. Ah, brilliant. You're an inspiration, I have to say. Getting out into the sea every day, that's just incredible. Really, very impressive. Something I would never do. Anyway, I'm going to head on. I have to answer some messages, and somebody was ringing me there, so uh, unless, in case that's very important. All right. Uh, Níos. Well, let's be honest. Uh, it certainly wouldn't be che, but warmer. Yeah. At this time of year, the sea is maybe slightly warmer than the air temperature. Is it? Yeah. I get some, but not all for some reason, says Barbara. Yeah, check your spam folder. Sometimes they go in there. It's annoying, but I try not to make it look like spam. But, as I say, Gmail has a mind of its own. Anyway, Igwa Kolasov, Slong the Foal, August Tog, Bugay. And I'll see you all for the next one. Hopefully, very soon. Good night, all. Enjoy the rest of your day, /evening, /night, /morning if you're Michael Trott. And thanks for tuning in. See you soon. Bye bye.